Good morning. So I've got a pot of chili simmering downstairs. Last night I started soaking the beans because they cook easier if you soak them overnight, in my opinion. And got to thinking, sometimes every now and then you come across someone who real chili doesn't have beans in it. So I got curious and started questioning what is real chili. So I looked up a bunch of stuff on the internet. In the process, my computer crashed, so I lost all my notes. So I'm going to be doing some of this from memory here, because fortunately it's a simple subject. And like I said, looked stuff up last night, so most of it's still fresh in my mind. Turns out that Texas chili typically doesn't have beans in it. Other chilies, most other places they put beans in it. Now that said, you're going to have people argue that only Texas chili is real chili, but again, people's opinions. My mom always put beans in her chili, so in my opinion, chili has beans in it. Anyway, looking up more about chili. Again, just curious. Where did this come from? What is quote unquote authentic chili? So, various references. The earliest mention of chili con carne, according to most sites, was a man named J.L. Klopper. He was from somewhere up in the north part of the United States. His journal that he wrote, he started from Cincinnati before moving down south. Well, not moving, but traveling down south. This was around 1828, 1829. Mexico had recently gotten independent from Spain. Texas was part of the Mexican Constitution. Texas had the right to be independent, right to be a part of Mexico, right to break away free anytime, like they can from the United States too now. That's sort of a tradition in Texas, is the right to be free. So, a man named Klopper went down. Let's travel through Texas and see what's going on here. And he was the first person to mention chili con carne, or the earliest reference to chili con carne that most people can find is his journal. He just said it was San Antonio is where he came across it. We will notice chili con carne, it's a Spanish term, of course, so this was actually a Mexican dish, not an American dish. And again, Texas wasn't part of America at the time, so definitely a Mexican dish. He described it as a hash with chili peppers in it. Now, hash, if we're taking this literally, hash typically is meat, potatoes, and onion. So, real chili, if we're taking Klopper literally, contained potatoes in it originally. Now, just as he could have been being literal, he could have also been referring to hash up north here. It's, like I said, meat, potato, and onion. It's a simple dish to make. It's cheap to make. The common person can make it. So it is possible that instead of, being literal about this being a type of hash, he could have been just pointing out this was a simple commoner, quick stew that a commoner made with chili peppers in it. That would make sense too. In that case, original chili would have had the foods more common to Mexicans, might have had corn in it, might have had beans in it, despite what the Texans want to say. It would have had the native foods of the area. So it wasn't necessarily modern chili as we call it today. Look up chili. What is chili specifically? Look up the etymology of chili. It comes from a Nahuatl word. Nahuatl is one of the Aztec languages. Basically, it's referring to the chili pepper. So chili, by definition, is something with chili peppers in it. So yeah, we can argue about does it have beans, does it not have beans. But it has, by definition, it has chili pepper. So people say I don't like spicy chili. They're the ones who technically aren't eating chili. If you want to get into a what is chili, what is not chili. Um, so, is it anything with chili peppers in it? So again, what distinguishes cooking with chili peppers from cooking chili, quote unquote, or chili itself as a meal? So back during the gold rush, and there was something called chili bricks, and this was something. It wasn't just the gold rush. Cowboys would do it, ranchers would do it from time to time. Cattle drives, whatever. It was simply a matter of you take about 25 pounds of beef, according to one description I've read on that someone wrote about it. Some lard. You mix it with chili peppers, put some salt and pepper in there, mix it with a little flour. Then you cut this up into these bricks. And it's preserving the meat. You can take, out on the trail, out on whatever, you can take one of these bricks, you can boil it and make a meal out of it. So they were called, chili bricks. Okay. So, that's obviously not what we would consider chili today, but it was a chili, quote unquote, recipe that was written down at one point. And again, it contained chili peppers, so they refer to them as chili bricks. And the main thing here, I think this goes back to what's popped up in history from time to time. When you have food which is questionable, maybe the meat's a little too old, maybe it just doesn't taste well, maybe, whatever, you just add a lot of spices to it. And so original chili cooking was cooking with the pepper. Primary reason was to, again, make the food more palatable, make it less toxic. Obviously, if you eat bad food, you can get sick. If you put chilies in it, it can sort of kill the bacteria that's making you sick at times. If you put enough of them, might get a few side effects from the chili peppers, depending on your intestinal fortitude. But again, so chili was cooking with chili peppers. Chili con carne literally means chili with meat. So, people say real chili doesn't have beans in it. We can argue that originally chili didn't have meat in it either, because they made a special difference between chili con carne and just plain chili. Anyway, back to some of the other history origins. Some people think 1731, France was expanding westward with their colonies in the United States. So the Spanish, to sort of put a wall up, this is our territory, stop expanding, started to bring natives from the Canary Islands in. And some people say that their cooking resembled modern day chili, and so they brought the chili recipe, supposedly. No real details given on this other than the fact that they used a lot of cumin, and a lot of chili recipes use cumin. So the big argument for chili is actually a recipe from the Canary Islands is it uses cumin. And it's possible. Some people say that the washerwoman during the Mexican Revolution, they'd follow the army around, do clothes, and they would cook chili, or basically cook a stew with chili peppers in their washing pots when they weren't, doing laundry for people. No real details on the recipe other than the fact that they would, use chili peppers because it was part of the original dish, or a large part of the native diet was chili peppers. So there we have it. So, I mean, this, I can go into all sorts of other theories on this. The main thing being, no one really knows where it comes from. Original chili wasn't necessarily the same as modern day chili. So, what we call chili is not necessarily the original chili. So basically, put what you want in it, and if people complain that's not real, the main thing is it had chili peppers in it. Some people like pepperless chili. Technically, that's not chili. If you want to get back to the originals. Um, so what goes into chili? I looked up a bunch of chili recipes just to compare them. Um, Meat, most of them said beans. Uh, Salt and pepper, obviously. Tomatoes of some sort. Tomato paste, tomato sauce, or diced tomatoes. One recipe said stewed tomatoes. Most of them said garlic, which is interesting. Chili pepper and or cayenne pepper and or cumin. So a lot of common things going through. Now, like I said, I baking mine from scratch more or less. I'm using canned tomato paste, but I'm doing my beans from scratch. A lot of recipes online talk about use canned beans. Why would you use canned beans? If you're going to use canned beans, why not just use canned chili? I can understand. Some of them say for a quick recipe. Then I can understand. Okay, I want my homemade chili, but I don't have time to make the beans. I'll use canned beans. That makes some sense. But again, if you're going to start using canned beans and canned tomatoes and other canned ingredients like some of the recipes I found, why not just buy canned chili and make that? If all your ingredients are canned, then we're getting away from the homemade aspect of it. So other than that, what else? Yes, I mentioned hot peppers because again, chili comes from the chili pepper. It wasn't peppered stew. It was chili peppers with meat. That's what chili con carne literally means. So the meat is actually optional. If you want to go back to the original chili cooking definitions. But then so it has peppers. We go to the chili cook-offs, and of course, everyone has, someone's got their 5-alarm chili recipe, and it becomes a contest on how hot you can make it and how spicy. And real chili is real hot. And again, we're getting away from original chili here, I think. Apparently, from everything I've read, the chili peppers were sort of meant to make other foods palatable, not to completely mask their taste. So, if you think that real chili, it's just got to be super hot so that you don't taste anything but the pepper, then I think you're getting away from the original intent of mixing chili peppers with stuff. One thing I did forget, some people say that the Texas prison system started making chili, and it was the equivalent of bread and water. In the sense of bread and water was just cheap food. Chili was a cheap made thing. Like I said, Klopper said it was based on hash, which was a cheap made stew, basically, with of course peppers in it because we're using questionable ingredients and we don't want the people getting sick from botulism or whatever else. We didn't know a lot about medicine, but we did know that bad meat could make you sick. So someone found out that mixing chili peppers with your bad meat could make it, again, less likely to make you sick. And so, again, back to my original point, though, what originally got me on this, does chili have beans in it? It can. I mean, again, everything going back to quote-unquote original chili, the main thing is it's just something that has chili peppers in it. That's all. Like I said, making some chili yesterday, or starting chili yesterday. Remembered that some people say it don't have beans when I was making my beans, And so I just got curious and started looking it up. Um, Hope you enjoyed. Hope you all like a good bowl of chili from time to time, and have a nice day.